And we are back. Today, we're talking about a surprise commitment for the University of Oklahoma. Not one that I don't think anybody really had on their bingo card, unless they're just throwing stuff against the wall, hoping that it sticks. But the Oklahoma Sooners, they get a commitment from the four-star wide receiver, Daniel Odom. And I think the significant impact for this for Oklahoma is actually huge. So it's something that we got to dive into. We got to go in there. We got to break it down. What is Daniel Odom bringing to the Oklahoma Sooners? Who are some of the other wide receivers that the Oklahoma Sooners could be potentially looking at in the 2026 cycle? Because I didn't think this would be a very big wide receiver class. And yeah, one of those spots is already claimed. So if you guys haven't already and you guys are new to the channel, make sure you wipe your feet, hit that like, hit the subscribe button. We're going to be talking recruiting content all year long. So I want you to be a part of the community here. Join the discussion, jump in the comments below. But let's just dive into it, guys. Four-star wide receiver Daniel Odom coming in at 6'2", 178 pounds out of St. John's Bosco. This is important because the Oklahoma Sooners, and part of the reason why a couple days ago I said on the visitor list, although Daniel Odom was coming to Oklahoma, I didn't really think Oklahoma was going to land Daniel Odom in the long run because Oklahoma hasn't had a ton of success out of St. John Bosco. But yet St. John Bosco actually puts out some pretty decent recruits and former players. I mean, just to name a couple, Trent McDuffie. You guys know who he is, right? Starting corner for the Chiefs, one of the best in the entire NFL. He came out of St. John Bosco before he went to Washington. You look at some of the current players around the country, or that have been around the country. DJ Uyunglele, his brother, Mateo. You've got Chris Still, who is out at the Chiefs now. You've got DeAndre Moore Jr., who's out there with Texas. Box Collins, Peyton Woodard out there with Alabama, Marcellus Williams with USC. I could go down the list. The amount of talent that has came out of St. John Bosco is huge. So for Oklahoma to be able to go in there, land a guy like this, and really kind of try to stake some claim into that part of the region, to that school, I think is big. Now, you kind of wonder how much of Ben Arbuckle's I guess, reach kind of helped here because Ben Arbuckle's been on the West Coast, but we can't shadow away from the potential relationship with Jaden O'Neal. You know, rumor has it, I haven't actually confirmed this yet, that Jaden O'Neal and Daniel Odom are friends. And Daniel Odom was here this weekend with Jaden O'Neal. And this is important to note because peer-to-peer recruiting, especially at the quarterback level, when your quarterback is out there recruiting, it becomes an elite class. It's different when you have other guys recruiting, but when your quarterback, the leader of the class, is out there recruiting, you start to narrow down commits pretty quickly. And if that's what happened with Daniel Odom, you've got to look at Jaden O'Neal and say, hey, you're giving him Recruiter of the Month. But Daniel Odom, guys, one of the things you notice at his 6'2", 178-pound frame here is he's already got a well-built frame and somebody that I think can compete probably at a high level day one when he steps onto the field for Oklahoma, has a great route running ability. And that was clearly shown by some of the offers that he had from Texas A&M, a Texas, a Tennessee, an Oregon, Miami, Michigan with DJ Underwood has got to be a team that you look at, Georgia, Florida State, right? Even Arizona, because Arizona has got Nate McMillan out there, right? So, and they've been able to develop him. You look at the schools that were out there recruiting Daniel Odom, and it was by no, I can't undersell this. It was a big win for Oklahoma to go out here and get him. So you look at what he did in high school so far, 1,303 total yards, 87 receptions, 12 total touchdowns. Guys, this is a guy that also pretty physical blocker off the line of scrimmage as a wide receiver. And I think that's something that you want to see if you're an Oklahoma fan. You want to see wide receivers come into the program that actually like to block and that can block at a high level. So Daniel Odom, he comes in here, gives Oklahoma their fourth commit of the 2026 cycle, bringing Oklahoma up to the number 18th class in the country at an 84.27 composite score ranking, right behind Georgia, Clemson, and Ohio State. So for the Oklahoma Sooner fans, you're starting to put up a top class so far, jumping up the rankings. But the question is, at wide receiver now, who do you look at? Who could be Oklahoma's next target? And we can talk about a recruit that I personally like, one that I thought Oklahoma could go out there and land, and that was a guy like Aljor Miles out of Kaufman, Texas. Oklahoma's in a great spot for him. Emmett Jones in Oklahoma was one of his first offers, and Emmett Jones does a really good job with these relationships. And I think that's another thing that we probably don't need to undersell in the Daniel Odom recruitment. Emmett Jones finds ways into recruitments that sometimes as an Oklahoma fan, you wouldn't expect Emmett Jones to be able to go out there and get you in. Hence, although it didn't work out towards the end of the cycle, a guy like Marcus Harris. When Marcus Harris committed to Oklahoma, I don't think anybody really expected him to actually end up committing towards the beginning of the cycle or even when Oklahoma gave him that offer. Now, I think it does hurt probably your relationships at modern day by not letting him basically continue to sign with Oklahoma. But Oklahoma in the 26th class has the potential for a really good wide receiver class. We can talk about a guy like in-state Mason James coming in at 5'11", 170 pounds. You imagine a guy that would be a great slot receiver. I also talk about a guy that's not brought up, a guy like Brock Boyd, 6'1", 165 pounds, currently committed to TCU, but is out of South Lake Carroll, which is a school that Emmett Jones has a lot of respect for, and a lot of people there give him a lot of respect. So Brock Boyd, right? That's a guy that Oklahoma, if they wanted to down the road, could potentially get on. Regardless how you look at it, he is going to have his pick of the litter of whoever he wants. And I mean, that includes a 5-star wide receiver in Davian Gross out of Lone Star High School in Frisco, Texas. I think we're really not talking about him enough as a kind of Debo Samuel type of player for Oklahoma, but that's exactly what Davian Gross is, and Oklahoma sits in a really good spot for him right now. Love what we're hearing on the recruiting trail for him. And then you've got other 5-stars that Oklahoma could get in the mix for, like a Tristan Keys, who included Oklahoma in his top schools list when he doesn't even have an offer from Oklahoma. And I'll tell you right now, Tristan Keys putting Oklahoma in his top schools list, it's not just another name on the graphic. Oklahoma can be, and I expect will be a player down the road. So looking at this list, Oklahoma's got a ton of wide receivers they can go after. It's going to be interesting to see who Emmett Jones wants to be able to pull in, because he could pretty much pull in whoever he wants at this point. But I want to hear from y'all. So join the discussion. Jump in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. What do you think on the 4-star wide receiver commit Daniel Odom? Hey, you know what? We'll see you guys tomorrow with another little recruiting update.